Hello fellas. Welcome back to Top 5 Choices. This is Haley from Top 5 Choices, and I hope you all are doing good. In today's video, I'm gonna do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best action camera, 2022. After doing proper researches, we came to the conclusion that meets the best in terms of overall. Kindly leave a like if you find this helpful, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, and turn on post notifications if you haven't. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use it for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. We'll be back with more videos. The Hero 8 Black features a familiar button and display layout, but with some big tweaks. The camera is actually a tad thicker in width and overall volume than previous models, but the camera lens barely protrudes outwards now, making the device a lot more pocketable. The lens also gets Gorilla Glass scratch protection, and GoPro says it is twice as resilient to scratches than before. We hope this claim is indeed true, since the lens on the Hero 8 Black is now fixed and not replaceable. Like with older models, you get the same sized monochrome display on the front as before, and a color touchscreen on the back. One of the 3 microphones has been repositioned to the front of the camera for better audio recording, and the GoPro logo is now embossed on the rubber cladding instead of being printed. The flat sides of the camera have a different design too. There's no rubber lining anymore, instead there's now a single water-sealed flap on the right for the battery, microSD card, and USB Type-C port. The Hero 8 Black also loses the micro HDMI port, which was present on older models. The single flap on the right is very convenient, and we were able to access the charging port even with the camera mounted in most cases. The biggest and most overdue design change though is the built-in mounting fingers on the bottom, which fold flush with the body and stay in place magnetically when not in use. This also means that you don't need the, sometimes, annoying plastic cage anymore when you need to use this camera with some accessories. The mounting fingers feel well built and are backwards compatible with pretty much any existing GoPro mount. The removable battery has the same capacity as that of the Hero 7 Black, but is distinguished by some blue accents on the contact end. There are also 2 red status LEDs this time instead of 3, and they are shaped like tiny dots. We didn't get the full retail box for our review, but if you were to buy one, you should expect it to include a mounting buckle, a curved adhesive mount, a USB Type-C cable, and in some countries, not India, a free 32GB microSD card. Another new feature debuting with the Hero 8 is the ability to add mods to it. GoPro has created 3 mods at launch, called the Medium Mod, Light Mod, and Display Mod. The DJI Action 2 camera unit is a tiny and cube-shaped, weighing just 56 g. It has an aluminium alloy housing, which gives it a premium look and feel. It's dust-proof and waterproof up to 10 m, and that can be extended up to 60 m with an optional casing. Along the sides, you'll find the single microphone, power/shutter button, and contact pins for magnetically attaching to the charging unit. The front is dominated by the camera lens along with a single status LED in one corner. The back of the DJI Action 2 has a 1.76-inch OLED touchscreen, which is responsive and is quite visible outdoors. The charging unit is roughly the same size as the camera module and has 3 additional microphones, a USB Type-C port, a microSD card slot, a power/shutter button, a status LED, and in the dual-screen variant, an additional 1.76-inch OLED screen. This module isn't dust or waterproof, which means you'll need to be careful about how and where you use it. The USB port and microSD slot are left exposed without any sort of protection, which I'm not a big fan of. The screen on the charging unit faces the opposite direction of the camera's display when attached, so you can use it as a viewfinder when vlogging. You can choose to use only one of the screens at a time to save battery power. The magnetic force between modules is very strong, and firmly holds both the units together. For added security, clamps on either side of the charging unit help lock the camera in position. Similar clamps can be found on the bundled accessories. You can attach the camera unit to the mounts on its own or along with the charging unit if needed. In terms of design, the DJI Action 2 is very innovative as it packs a lot of tech into a very tiny footprint. The magnetic mounting system reminds me a lot of Insta360's Go-To action camera. The build quality of the Action 2 and the bundled accessories is top-notch. The DJI Action 2 features a 1/1.7-inch fixed-focus 12-megapixel CMOS sensor. The ultra-wide-angle lens has a 155-degree field of view and AF/2.8 aperture. One of the highlight features of this action camera is 4K video recording at 120 frames per second, albeit for only 5 minutes per clip under ideal temperatures. Other combinations include 2.7K at up to 120 frames per second and 1080p at up to 240 frames per second. Unlike GoPro cameras, the DJI Action 2 has 32GB of fixed storage, and you can expand this if needed using a microSD card in the charging unit. The DJI Action 2 is an absolute joy to use, mainly because of its size and how easy it is to mount onto things. The magnetic base of the camera and charging unit allow you to stick them to any metal surface, which can be handy at times when you don't have the right mount with you. The GoPro Hero 10 Black looks similar to the Hero 9 Black, but there's only one change that you can see. The Hero 10 Black has a logo on the side and front written in blue, while the last-gen camera has the same with gray. Apart from this, the Hero 10 Black is physically identical to its predecessor. If you are a fan of water sports, you will be happy with the new tweaks that GoPro has made to its front lens. The lens cover now comes with a water-repellent hydrophobic coating, and it really works. We ran the Hero 10 Black and its predecessor under a tap, and the new lens cover was significantly better at repelling water, leaving no droplets. Further, the lens cover is also better at handling scratches, and also reduces ghostings. Like with the last gen, the lens is removable on the Hero 10 Black, but removing the lens might cost you a bomb in case something hits the lens directly. In terms of visuals, you get a 1.4-inch front LCD for vloggers, which GoPro says is now a little smoother when showing movement than before, thanks to higher frame rates enabled by its GP2 processor. More on that later. Thanks to the higher frame rate, the screen now shows smoother visuals, and keeping it along with Hero 9 Black will give you a good idea of how much better the front display on the Hero 10 Bulk is. The improvement is far more noticeable on the 2.27-inch rear touchscreen. GoPro says this has improved touch sensitivity, but the real difference comes from the power of the GP2 processor. The super compact DJI Pocket 2 features a 3-axis gimbal at the helm, atop a stick which houses all its brains, battery, and that very welcome screen. Hold the base, frame your shot on its 1-inch display and shoot for as long as the battery will let you on the very light, comfortable to hold, 117G gadget. There's no danger of hand fatigue here. Alternatively, you can prop it up on a tripod. Included in the Creator Combo Pack, the mode and record buttons are under the DJI Pocket 2 screen, and there's a new power button around the side. While you can still turn the gimbal on via the mode button, only the side-mounted power button can turn it off, handy for avoiding accidental shutoffs when cycling through modes. There's a USB-C port on the bottom of the Pocket 2, though when mounted on a tripod, you'll want to connect the gimbal to a phone via a universal port adapter that slides in between the screen and buttons. Included in the Pocket 2 box are small Lightning and USB-C adapters that fit into this slot for easy phone attachment and video export. Having a physical connection means it's faster and more reliable when transferring 4K video versus having to do it wirelessly, like we experience on so many action cameras. However, the adapters are extremely easy to lose. If you see yourself simultaneously shooting on and charging up the Pocket 2 while it's on a tripod, opt for the Creator Combo. The tripod mount base included in the standard pack covers up the USB-C port. Whack on the do-it-all handle, however, and you bag yourself an extra USB-C port around the back. You can think of the DJI Pocket 2 as 2 cameras in one. The first is a stabilized out and about vlogging camera. The second is a camera operator, fixed in position, following you around as you chat away, walk around your kitchen, vlogging your day, cooking up a storm, or doing whatever it is vloggers do these days. First things first, as a gimbal system, the 3-axis DJI Pocket 2 handles walks and wobbles like a champion. Sure, you could pick up an action camera, but there's this micro judder that comes through when shake is being smoothed out. The Pocket 2 is free of those. Alternatively, why not get a smartphone gimbal? That would occupy your phone, and performance varies from mobile to mobile. In turn, there's definitely a place for this funky little camera on a stick. The GoPro Max has dual 180-degree lenses that shoot 16.6 megapixel 360-degree photos, 5.5 megapixel 4:3 shots from just one of the cameras, what GoPro is calling Max SuperView photos, and super cool 270-degree 6.2 megapixel panoramic photos called PowerPanos. For video, it can capture 1440p 60 frames per second footage with a single lens and 5.6K 30 frames per second spherical clips, just like the Insta360. There are mics on all but one side, and it shares the same satisfying rubber buttons and button layout as the Hero 8. On the bottom, it has stowable mounting prongs that allow you to mount accessories to the camera without the need for a separate housing. The touchscreen on the Max is a bit smaller than the touchscreen on the back of the Hero 8, but its menu system is identical. The big plus here is if you're vlogging or taking a selfie, you can see yourself like on the DJI Osmo Action because, well, it has two lenses. Although the camera is waterproof up to 16 feet, GoPro says it is not an underwater camera. Stitching 360-degree footage underwater is an ongoing problem for GoPro, and this waterproofing is better suited for strapping the camera to the front of a surfboard without having to worry about it getting wrecked. The touchscreen is very responsive, but you can't use it to scroll around your frame in 360 mode since the screen has swiping gestures, such as swiping down to reach the main menu. You can, however, switch between lenses by tapping a button on the screen, but that only works before you start recording. Once you hit record, the screen has no functionality other than being a viewfinder to the lens you chose before rolling. The image on the screen will, however, stay level with the horizon no matter which way you turn the camera. And it does so with almost no noticeable lag when shooting the warped, super wide fisheye look. The footage is crisp and vibrant. Skin tones are true to life, and the Max is not afraid to overexpose the highlights a bit. I prefer this to the flatter color grade of the 1X, especially if you don't want to spend time color correcting after the fact. Even if you are color correcting, neither camera gives you very much latitude to work with, so most of the time it's not worth the effort. But when I punch into a linear, non-fisheye look, the footage starts to show its grain, and the smoothing GoPro's software is doing to compensate for the stretched dimensions. If this footage will only be viewed on a phone, who cares? But if you're paying $500 for this camera, I'd expect it to be used for more than that. The Max's 360 video is stabilized with software. It bobs as you would expect when walking and can be really jittery, especially at night. The stitching is most noticeable at the top and bottom of the frame, and since most GoPro mounts typically have wider bases than the camera, there is almost always a bit of an artifact from the mount in the footage. Overall, though, once you export the 360 footage, the stitch is really clean. The Max's audio capture, however, is the best I have heard from a consumer 360 camera. The wind reduction can add a lot of compression, but overall it actually reduces the sound of wind while keeping voices intact. I tested the camera in 25 miles per hour winds and you could still hear me speaking.